Greetings, Duelists, and welcome to another video. So, shoutouts to Nesh TCG. A few days ago, he did a deck doctor stream where people submit his deck lists and he tries to perfect them and aid them at some way or shape and capacity. And I kind of want to talk about the deck that I submitted to him and his perspectives on it. Um, I'm going to give a really big disclaimer. This is not a exposure video. This is not a drama situation. I don't want people to get mixed up and think that I am trying to call out on his methodology and the way that he gives his perspective on decks. That's not the purpose of this channel. The purpose of this channel is highly educational and just teach duelists a lot of things that are not commonly seen to the naked eye when it comes to when you're trying to perfect yourself as a duelist, be it by mannerisms, be it by deck building, being by theory, and more importantly, critique and perspectives. Some people are really good players, but that doesn't mean that they have to share the same mentality. You can have your own opinion and have your own stance in how you duel, and if a meta call or a strategy or a way a deck works out for you, then I'd say is perfectly fine as long as it works on your end. And not everybody has to be in agreement when it comes to the perspective of how a deck functions and how do you build it as a duelist. The really interesting thing about this game is, despite the different ways that people play the game, some people are found the merit of success more than others, and sometimes experience comes with that. But yeah, basically what happened was I submitted my deck to Nesh, and TLDR, he didn't like it. He pretty much roasted the hell out of it. However, my goal with this video is to clarify and bring up everything that he was missing in context when it comes to his deck, and address the issues that he tried to find with it, because I was not present by the time he was doing this recording, so I couldn't share my reasoning behind the cards that I chose for my deck. And again, this is not to expose Nesh, this is not to cause any drama or any way to slander his reputation, because that's not my goal. My goal is only to share this perspective. But I think he kind of missed the mark on why this deck was made the way that it is. I'm going to post the link to the VOD, and you can hear what his thoughts were on it. I'm not gonna go into detail. I'm not gonna play the clip. However, what I will do is I'm going to cover everything that he missed with this deck and share my perspectives on it. Because when it comes to Tearlaments, I've experimented with this deck a lot. I have a lot of different builds. I actually I played Tearlaments right when Power of the Elements came out. I even topped a regional with the Luna Light version. Not this exact same build, but another one similar to that. I really try perfecting this deck as many ways as possible. I try to find the flaws with it, and at the end of the day, if I have a tier deck made, it has a specific identity. So I'm gonna go over this list and I'm going to explain all my reasonings on it, and then I'm going to explain everything that Nesh kind of missed when it came to like his critique on this deck. Uh, this is not to convince anyone that this deck is great at all. This is not people to like not share Nesh's perspective on it. It's more on to give better oversight on how deck building works in like in the eyes of other people that try to play this game, and like just share how this game is unique in how people play the game, how people make the meta calls, and just overall see some people see success with it and some do not. Um, okay, so what I have here is like Punk Tearlament, at least my spin on it. The actual reference that I did take was a list from the OCG. So Nesh was right on that point. That point is correct. One thing that Nesh brought up was that this deck doesn't work in the TCG because Chaos Ruler is not in the game. However, he didn't understand why Zephyros the Elite was in the main deck, and the main reason for that is because of Black Feather Dark Rage Dragon. I guess I should talk about the ratios first. So you have 3 of the Ishizu names alongside the Diviner. You have 3 Zephyros. You have Cartesia, 3 King of the Swamp. The Punk ratios are 2 Xiamen, 1 Ogre Dance, 3 Foxy Tune, and 1 Deer Note. I'm playing the 4 tier names and the 3 Tearlament Skashira. Foolish, Goods, Poly, 3 Proto Rhino, 3 Scream, 3 Soliac, and 3 Karma. Extra deck would be Garura, Grinding Wall, Chimera, Mud Dragon, Gragas Tapelia, Kaleido Heart, Roll Kalos, Baron, Feather, Despia, Muddy Mud Dragon, the Zombie Vampire, Tame Thief, Cross Cheap, and Underworld Goddess. Okay, so I already brought up 2 critiques from Nesh. One was like, why the Zephyros in here? And the second critique he brought up was like, I pretty much tried to mirror the OCG like with this concept. So Zephyros' identity comes solely from the existence of Black Feather Dragon, Dark Rage Dragon. For those who don't know, this card mills you 5 cards. If mills you up to 5 cards, you can get to choose if you take damage. There are not many self-inflicting cards in this game, at least efficient ones. And the one that has the most synergy with the Tearlament deck is Blackwing Zephyros the Elite. Another 2 notable mentions are Trick Clown, like the Performage, and the other one would be another Blackwing monster. I forgot its name. I think it was Ill something. I know it's a level 3 monster. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Oh, it's a level 4. This one, DK the Ill Wind. So those are the 2 best cards that I read in the entire card pool that kind of do self-inflicting damage, and their graveyard effects. However, Ill Wind only works during the end phase, and the Trick Clown only works the moment it's being sent to the graveyard. So that leaves us with Zephyros being like the best potential option. It is once per duel, but the condition that you want to meet with this card, you only need to do it once. And when it comes to Tearlament, you usually don't go over 3 turns with this deck unless it involves a grind game or it involves floodgates or blowouts So on that regard, it's not like the biggest issue in the world. Also, it's level 4, so you can actually make the Black Feather with it in Cartesia. You can make Muddy Mud Dragon with it because it's a dark monster, and you can also make Time Thief Redoer with it, which is another reason why I'm not playing 3 Rhino, which is something that was also brought up, not from Nesh necessarily, but from his chat. Again, no slander to anyone. This is just sharing like my perspective. So that's one thing to bring up. Another thing that he didn't like was the fact that there was no non-engine in this deck. When it comes to Tearlaments, this deck is strong enough to handle opposing boards with its engine alone. Like if you play Tearlaments long enough, you should realize that by now. The reason the Chizu tier deck was so strong and it's like predicated as like one of the better decks of all time is because it was a deck that had an engine that was super adaptable to the game, and the engine was just so powerful in itself that it gave you room to just use your non-engine for the mirror match as well as cards that would hard counter the deck. Like for example, Dimension Shifter. So that's one thing he overlooked. I kind of understand that Kashtira is a problematic deck in the format, and there are some decks that kind of do have like a certain ceiling, and you kind of have to handle it with your strategy. But like again, even though my perspective is different, I did play Tearlaments like long enough for me to like reach the conclusion that if your engine is doing its job, you should be doing well against other decks if the matchup is not unfavorable. He also brought up no terraforming. So Droll and Lockbird is a very common card in this format, and like this deck is already weak to Droll because of the Zodiacs and the Screams. So I just thought it made no sense to just add one card in your deck that is just going to like make your deck even weaker to draw when it already is. Not everybody shares that opinion. Some people just think that the card is strong enough to warrant you just keep playing it. However, that is my prerogative on it, and that's like the thoughts that I kind of brought up with it. He didn't even cover the extra deck. Like this just tells you how much he didn't really like the deck. I think the extra deck is very unique in what it kind of wants to do. People often forget that Zombie Vampire is a card. Like people are so tunnel visioned on Chaos Ruler that they just don't think about the Zombie Vampire being another potential option to why you should play the P.U.N.K engine in Tearlament. Like not only does this card mill 4, but it can also bring back a monster that you just mill, either from your deck or your opponent's deck. So, and it is 3000 attack. It is a big monster. It also is another target for for Mud Dragon of the Swamp. So there's that. Like, I don't think I need to explain like the Mud Dragon, the Lulu Lilith. If you haven't seen it, I did make a video talking about Blazing Cartesia and her role in Tearlaments. Very very good video. I highly recommend it. I think the rest is kind of standard. Like I'm playing Guardian Chimera because I'm playing Poly. The reason I'm playing Poly and King of the Swamp is because even though you have access to Mud Dragon, like you're reliant on having Blazing Cartesia as your option. And I realized as I kept playing, like unless you like play Fusion Deployment or other cards to like try to get to Blazing Cartesia, like playing a branded engine, uh, you should just dedicate to just milling the Cartesia or just having it as part of the engine instead of being like a main focal point. That perspective like rubbed off on me after seeing like the top 64 list from Shuping. Um, so that's it on that. Um, the other thing that he brought up was Super Poly not being in the main deck, despite me having Super Poly targets on it. For it, I kind of wanted to make the deck as consistent as possible. Like Super Poly is a great card. It also is a utility card. It's a board breaking card. It's good non-engine. Um, and that is one critique that I will take from him. I could see myself playing Super Poly in the main deck. That is one perspective that I think he actually did correctly when it came to like him trying to deck doctor. Um, However, like my reasoning for not main decking it is I kind of wanted to play the concept of the deck and be it as consistent as possible. When it comes to Tearlaments, consistency is really important because there are so many few cards compared to like when it first got released. Like you have all the sirens at one. Kalos is not in the game. Um, like Pearl Rhino is a 3, but again, like if you play terraforming, you're just going to lose to Drool. Um, and this is a mill deck, so you need to make sure that your mills is as efficient as possible. And you're already playing cards in your engine that are not helpful with that. So that's where not playing Super Poly in the main comes in. Um, but yeah, uh, that's pretty much like my perspective on this deck. Again, I going to preface this, and I'm not going to stress it any more than I have to. This is not a reverse roast. This is not me like justifying like against Nesh's actions. Uh, I do think that when it comes to deck doctoring, he could do a little bit better when critiquing decks, but that's just like a small personal take. There's nothing against him. Uh, Again, this is player perspective. This is like me trying to share my analogies and like my experiences with decks, despite the difference of opinions. Um, but yeah, I hope you found this informative. Like I really like Tearlament. It's a deck that I've experimented with the most, and if I share and submit a deck to people, it's because like I kind of want to see what they think about involving my mindset with decks. Nesh's roast pretty much tells me that he's not on the same tune as I am when it comes to deck building. However, like that's not something to like lament about. It's something to just like share into perspective. I actually find it kind of humorous in a way that despite him being like a really decorative player, his mindset is so different from like a lot of people when it comes to like critiquing decks. Um, will is he correct or not correct? That's for you to decide. Um, just again, once more, try to keep this as informative. Try to keep this as healthy as possible. I don't want any slander, neither from my side nor from his side, when it comes to this. At the end of the day, this is just a card game, and we're all aiming for the same thing, and is to have fun and to like learn and to like adapt to our strategies and just become better duelists. um but that's it from me. Keep practicing and keep dueling.